The headlines are stark: Canada explodes! The sense of urgency is palpable, as if the entire continent is holding its breath, waiting for the next shoe to drop. Newsrooms across North America scramble to keep up with the rapidly unfolding events, their screens awash in red alerts and breaking news banners. Trump drops bombshell at border. The words echo through living rooms and offices, sparking confusion, fear, and heated debate. The announcement is more than just a headline, it's a seismic shift, reverberating through every layer of society. The world's longest undefended border, once a symbol of trust and cooperation, is now a flashpoint. What was once a line on a map has become a front line in a new kind of crisis. Trucks that once flowed freely are backed up for miles, engines idling as drivers anxiously check their phones for updates. The uncertainty is suffocating. Every minute lost is money. Every hour a blow to livelihoods built on cross-border trade. At the Ambassador Bridge, the hum of commerce has been replaced by tense silence. The once busy lanes now stand eerily empty, a stark reminder of how quickly normalcy can vanish. Long-haul truckers, the lifeblood of this economy, gather in worried clusters, fearing for their livelihoods. Their conversations are hushed, their faces etched with worry, as they wonder how long this standoff will last, and what it means for their families back home. The invisible line between two friendly nations has become a hard barrier, reinforced with new fences, barricades, and a visible increase in security. The ease of movement that once defined this border is gone, replaced by suspicion and caution. The ripple effects are immediate, felt in homes and businesses on both sides. Families gather around televisions, their faces tense as they try to make sense of the chaos. Small business owners stare at empty stores, wondering how they'll survive the coming weeks. For generations, the border was a formality. A friendly handshake, a quick wave, a shared sense of purpose. Now, it's a source of fear and mistrust, a symbol of how quickly relationships can change when politics intervene. Friendly waves between border guards have turned to stern scrutiny. Every interaction is tense, every document checked and rechecked as both sides try to navigate this new reality. Every passport stamp now carries the weight of a new, fragile reality. Travelers wait nervously, uncertain if they'll be allowed to cross, their plans and futures hanging in the balance. This crisis is the result of simmering tensions and a dramatic shift in U.S. politics. The decisions made in distant capitals are now felt in the most personal ways, as leaders on both sides struggle to find common ground. President Trump's announcement has sent shockwaves through the global economic order. Markets reel, investors panic, and the world watches as North America's stability is called into question. For Canadians, this isn't a distant game, it's an existential threat. The uncertainty seeps into daily life, coloring every conversation, every decision with a sense of dread. The fabric of their economy, tightly woven with the U.S., is at risk of unraveling. Factories slow, partnerships dissolve, and the future of countless workers hangs in the balance. The question on everyone's lips: what happens next? In coffee shops, on factory floors, and in government offices, the uncertainty is overwhelming. The answer could redefine Canada for a generation. The choices made in these tense days will echo for years to come, shaping the identity and destiny of a nation on edge. In the heart of Ottawa, government officials are urgently rethinking how to secure Canada's vast border. But instead of building walls or fences, they're turning to cutting-edge technology, hoping to create a digital shield that's both invisible and impenetrable. High-resolution surveillance drones now sweep over remote forests and rugged terrain, using thermal imaging and night vision to spot movement. These drones feed a constant stream of real-time data back to command centers, allowing officers to monitor even the most inaccessible stretches of the border. At official crossings, facial recognition cameras and biometric scanners are being rapidly deployed. Every traveler's face and fingerprints are checked against vast digital databases, creating a powerful digital dragnet that aims to catch threats before they enter the country. Mobile patrol units, now equipped with advanced handheld sensors and supported by sensor towers, can intercept unauthorized crossings in real time, even in the most isolated areas. The overarching goal is clear: project absolute control over the border and send a strong message to Washington that Canada is fully committed to security and cooperation. This marks a dramatic shift from Canada's traditionally open and welcoming approach, where borders were once symbols of friendship and trust. The new smart border is undeniably efficient, processing travelers faster than ever, but it's also become more impersonal and intimidating, with technology replacing the human touch. Civil liberties groups are raising alarms, warning that these sweeping surveillance measures pose serious privacy risks and threaten to erode the core Canadian values of openness and respect for individual rights. Billions of taxpayer dollars are being funneled into this technological shield, funds that could otherwise support healthcare, education, or social programs. The trade-offs are becoming increasingly difficult to ignore. The government hopes that this visible show of force and innovation will reassure the U.S. and bring American officials back to the negotiating table, strengthening cross-border cooperation. Yet the complex systems are far from foolproof. Technical glitches, software errors, and equipment failures are frequent, raising doubts about whether this high-tech approach can truly satisfy Washington's security demands. As Canada pours resources into this digital frontier, many wonder if the real crisis, one of trust, values, and priorities, may be something technology alone can never solve. The crisis erupted with President Trump's sudden North American reciprocity tariff. He imposed a 25% tariff on Canadian goods, citing national security and unfair trade. The move was a bombshell. No warning to Ottawa, no negotiation. Trump's message: the days of one-sided relationships are over. The tariffs hit steel, aluminum, lumber, auto parts, more than just dairy. By linking trade to border security, the U.S. took the entire relationship hostage. Canada now faces a stark choice: capitulate or risk economic collapse. Trudeau's government is caught off guard, traditional diplomacy rendered useless. The established channels, negotiations, compromises are swept aside. Ottawa must defend its economic policies and its sovereignty. The bombshell has landed and the fallout is spreading. The entire trade framework is under threat. The Trump tariffs hit Canada's economy like a sledgehammer, sending shockwaves through every major industry almost overnight. What once seemed like a stable, mutually beneficial trade relationship was suddenly thrown into turmoil, leaving business leaders and workers scrambling to understand the new reality. Steel mills in Hamilton and Sault Ste. Marie, the backbone of Canada's manufacturing sector, announced sweeping cutbacks and mass layoffs. Generations of families who relied on these jobs now face an uncertain future. As entire communities brace for the fallout, the price of Canadian steel plummets to historic lows. Long-standing contracts with American buyers are suddenly in jeopardy, and warehouses fill with unsold inventory. The ripple effects are felt far beyond the factory floor, threatening suppliers and local businesses alike. The auto industry, built on cross-border assembly lines and just-in-time delivery, is thrown into chaos. Production grinds to a halt as parts shipments are delayed or cancelled, putting thousands of jobs at risk and jeopardizing Canada's reputation as a reliable manufacturing hub. Farmers, who depend on the U.S. as their primary export market, lose access to buyers overnight. Crops sit unsold in silos, and the uncertainty leaves rural communities on edge, unsure if they'll survive the season. The Canadian dollar plunges to new lows, making imports more expensive for everyone. The Toronto Stock Exchange reels as investors panic, and retirement savings are wiped out in a matter of days. Small businesses, already operating on thin margins, are unable to absorb the shock. Many are forced to close their doors for good, leaving main streets across the country dotted with empty storefronts and "for lease" signs. The tariffs disrupt supply chains that took decades to build. Trucks are stranded at border crossings, warehouses are filled with goods that can't move, and the entire logistics network grinds to a halt. Every sector dependent on U.S. trade is bleeding. From manufacturing to agriculture, energy to technology, the pain is widespread and deep, with no clear end in sight. From lumber mills in British Columbia to fisheries in the Atlantic, no region is spared. The economic pain is national, touching every province and territory, urban and rural alike. The dream of seamless North American trade is shattered, replaced by uncertainty and mistrust. Decades of cooperation and integration are suddenly called into question. Canada confronts the harsh reality of dependence on a single, unpredictable partner. Business leaders and policymakers are forced to rethink the nation's economic future and its place in the global marketplace. Investment plans are frozen as uncertainty drags the economy down. Projects are put on hold, construction sites go quiet, and the promise of future growth evaporates. The crisis is not just economic, it's existential. Families worry about their livelihoods, communities protest for urgent action, and the nation's sense of security is shaken to its core. The nation faces a full-blown economic emergency. Leaders gather in Ottawa to search for solutions, but the path forward is uncertain, and the stakes have never been higher. The economic crisis quickly becomes a political one. Trudeau's government is under siege, accused of being unprepared and naive. Opposition parties attack relentlessly, demanding accountability. Parliament devolves into chaos, reflecting national anxiety. Retaliatory tariffs are debated, but fears of escalation loom. Diplomacy stalls, U.S. officials remain unmoved. Federal-provincial tensions flare as premiers demand action. Alberta, Ontario, and Quebec each push their own agendas, fracturing unity. The government's approval ratings plummet as Canadians see only frantic damage control. The political fallout is as damaging as the economic one. Amid the turmoil, Alberta finds itself in a unique position. The U.S. exempts Canadian crude oil and natural gas from tariffs, protecting its own economy. Alberta's premier seizes the moment, negotiating directly with U.S. officials. This Alberta-first strategy angers other provinces, deepening regional divides. Pro-independence movements in Alberta gain traction. The crisis is no longer just about trade, it's about national unity. While Ontario and Quebec suffer, Alberta's oil patch surges with confidence. Canada becomes a nation divided, one part shielded, the other suffering. A unified response becomes nearly impossible. Alberta's gambit exposes deep regional fault lines. The Confederation itself is under strain. As Canada reels, China strikes, banning all Canadian canola imports. The official reason, pests in shipments; the real reason, political leverage. Prairie provinces like Saskatchewan and Manitoba are devastated. Billions in sales vanish. Grain elevators overflow with unsellable crops. Farmers face financial ruin as prices collapse. The crisis exposes the danger of relying on a few key export markets. Ottawa is squeezed between an aggressive U.S. and a punitive China. WTO appeals offer little immediate relief. Canada learns a harsh lesson. Middle powers are vulnerable in great power conflicts. The canola ban is a warning. China can inflict real pain on those who cross it. For farmers, geopolitics has become a personal disaster. Beyond the headlines, ordinary Canadians bear the brunt. In Ontario, auto workers receive pink slips. In Saskatchewan, farmers face foreclosure. Debt mounts, mental health crises rise, and communities unravel. Loggers in BC and cheesemakers in Quebec see their livelihoods vanish. These are not statistics. They are families, dreams, and futures lost. Local businesses shudder as jobs disappear. The economic shockwave becomes a social crisis. The promise of stability through hard work is broken. The human cost is the crisis's deepest tragedy. The 2025 crisis has pushed North America to a crossroads. The once stable $800 billion trade relationship is now a source of global instability. For Canada, this is a wake-up call. Dependence on one partner is a vulnerability. Diversification is now a national security imperative. Canada must seek new markets and forge new alliances. The crisis exposes deep internal divisions. Unity is essential for resilience. Leadership must bridge regional and political divides. Investing in technology, education, and infrastructure is vital for the future. The era of taking stability for granted is over. The world is watching as Canada chooses its path forward.